Hi, I'm Dr. Amy French. I'm a history professor at Delta College, and I'm here in Saginaw, Michigan today at the Castle Museum of Saginaw County History in order to tell you about the Goodridge Brothers. And so here they are. And I am at, this is the Goodridge team. They were African-American photographers. They had moved from York, Pennsylvania to Saginaw, Michigan, East Saginaw at the time, because Saginaw was divided into two cities. It was divided into Saginaw and then East Saginaw, and their studio was in East Saginaw. And so there was Wallace, William, and Glenn Alvin. And Wallace was the one who lived the longest. He would continue the operations of the studio until 1922. And the studio operated in Saginaw from roughly 1863, though the three brothers aren't all together until about, I think it was 1865 or so, that really the three brothers are getting in their groove and are all here together. And so here they are. And the exhibit, and I just want to show you around, this is so cool. This is the circuit camera. This exhibit is about the panoramic scenes. And so there are just so many images. This is the Goodridge Brothers were famed. They had not only local recognition, but they had national recognition and even international recognition. They had exhibited at the 1889 Universal Exposition in Paris. They had been asked to send their photos there, and that exposition was a very, very famous exposition, because that was when Gustav Eiffel unveiled his tower, the Eiffel Tower, and so that was very, very, very popular. And so here's their studio and some of their Saginaw scenes. In fact, it's thanks to the Goodridge Brothers that we know a lot about Saginaw. And so, in fact, here are the credits. The book, Enterprising Images, The Goodridge Brothers, African-American Photographers, 1847 to 1922, by John Jezierski, is really a seminal work on the Goodridge Brothers, and I encourage you all to read that, and as well as Roosevelt Ruffin, in his book, The Black Presence in Saginaw, is also a very good resource on them. And this exhibit today that we're looking at is a wider view of Saginaw, the panoramic views of the Goodridge Brothers, 1910 to 1922. And so they're using the circuit camera that allows them to do this amazing stereo views. And these are so cool that they did these huge panoramic views. And so here we're looking at one at Linwood Beach. And it says Saginaw WMA trip number 2 to Flint and return. And so, and look at these old cars. Aren't they fabulous? This was July 27th, 1911. And then we'll just kind of walk around. I'm only going to give you a little glimpse because I want you to come on down to the Castle Museum. The Castle Museum is in downtown Saginaw. The building itself is an amazing building. Here, we'll look at this one over here. We'll go over and we'll look at the first annual horse fair. This is April 9th, 1914. So this is the year that the Great War, World War I. They didn't know, of course, it was World War I at the time. It's going to break out. So, and look at these. We'll come in close. And amazing, amazing, folks. Look at that horse. And just the imagery is fabulous, and the detail work that the Goodridge Brothers were able to accomplish. And of course, they didn't just do these huge panoramic scenes. These are later in their studio career. Glenn Alvin starts out and he's doing daguerreotype and ambrotype And then later they had a fire that destroyed the studio, and so they had to rebuild with a lot of new equipment. And so they become more modern, and Glenn Alvin had died at that point. And so the Goodridge Brothers, William and Wallace, are living, and they're doing much more modern. They're doing things like cabinet cards. They did a lot of portraiture, doing events. They would film events. And let's give you one more look. What do we want to see? Let's look at the Schust Baking Company vehicles. And so here we are on Washington Avenue. I like this one because we'll see the Goodridge Brothers studio. This is after they've moved from their first studio, which was at the Krause building. This is where the Krause building is where they had their fire. And this one would have been on Washington, I believe. It looks like I'm looking at Washington Avenue in Saginaw. And this is, yes, it is. It's Washington Avenue, and this is the Schust Baking Company vehicles. And this is sometime after October 1916 and before April 17th, 1917. And there is the Goodridge Brothers studio. And see, can you see on the side of these cars how we can see that it says the Schust Company Biscuit and Candy Manufacturers. And so we see. And so, but you can learn a lot about Saginaw history. The Castle Museum tells all sorts of wonderful stories about the local, everybody's history is being told here at the Castle Museum. And the building itself is a gem. It was a former post office. And so, in fact, the room I'm standing in right now used to be a sorting room. And so you can see up there, those little slats up there. There's catwalks up there. And this was a way that if we look around, the managers could stand up there and see and make sure that everything that work was going as supposed to, and that the workers were sorting the mail and perhaps not taking anything out of the mail, and not taking anything out of envelopes or anything. And so this was a big sorting room right here, and you can see the big windows that look out. And so it's a snowy day here in Saginaw, Michigan. But you can come down and see the exhibit, and of course there's many other exhibits. We have exhibits here on lumbering, we have exhibits on mining and manufacturing of all sorts of different things like furniture, and many things that Saginaw was doing. We have exhibits on the Native Americans, we have exhibits on the post office itself, all sorts of things, including the Sports Hall of Fame is located here, the Saginaw Sports Hall of Fame, and many other wonderful things. So come on down to the Castle Museum of Saginaw County History and see this wonderful wider view, panoramic views of the Goodridge Brothers, local Saginaw photographers at the end of the 1800s and the early 1900s. Thanks, I'm Dr. Amy French of Delta College.